Twitter right now is in talks and trying to figure out ways to further monetize its platform besides ads. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. What's happening, guys? Good morning. You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. I got a few minutes to kill in the car here, so figured you could join me for my morning coffee, and we'd kind of talk a little bit about this story. Twitter is looking for new ways to monetize their platform, including charging a membership fee, potentially charging for kind of premium services, add-ons, the ability to delete tweets, as well as the ability to, I guess, customize your Twitter platform. They're also talking about selling or monetizing TweetDeck, which is basically, from my understanding, an alternative Twitter app. I think I used it in the past. It allows you to manage multiple Twitter accounts or multiple Twitter feeds and gives you access to a little bit better analytics, and you can kind of shuffle your timeline around a little bit more. They're also talking about adding a tipping feature, which would allow people to send small little micro tips to other tweeters or other content creators. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. I'm curious to hear from you guys. How many of you guys use Twitter? How many of you guys would consider yourself active Twitter users? And then also, how many of you guys even have Twitter on your phone, even if you don't use it? Let me know if you actually use Twitter, if you have a Twitter account, if you have Twitter on your phone. And I'd also love to hear from you guys, if you do use Twitter, if you do like Twitter, what is it that you like about Twitter? You know, in the early days of Twitter, I think Twitter's been around since 2006, around the same time as Facebook. In the early days of Twitter, I got on there, I don't remember exactly when, but I got on in the earlier days of Twitter, and I just remember not getting it. It just kind of, it seemed like one of two things. It seemed like a lot of people spamming links. So, you know, if somebody sells on eBay and has 50 listings on eBay, they tweet out every one of their listings, you know. Buy my, used Tommy Hilfiger t-shirt, buy my, food processor, buy this. Or people read my blog post, read my blog post, read my blog post. And I used to often joke that, and I think it still in some ways is like this today, but I feel like in a lot of ways Twitter is just people talking to themselves, right? Like almost picture you're at a party and everybody's just walking around. Nobody's really like making a connection or talking with each other, but everybody's just like shouting random phrases out into the air. That's kind of what my impression of Twitter was. I think I've always had Twitter on my phone, though I've never actually really used it that much. One of the things I think Twitter is somewhat useful for is like very fast breaking news. If there's some crazy current event going on in the world, like the Arab Spring or even like the BLM riots of this summer, it's kind of a good way to quickly learn what's going on the ground. Sometimes if I'm sitting in traffic and I'm on a 290, there's like a bumper to bumper traffic, nobody's moving for 15 minutes, and you're hanging out the window of your car trying to see what's going on out there. Sometimes I'll type in like Chicago 290 traffic accident, and if local news, traffic and weather isn't on it, like normally there'll be somebody who's at the front right behind the accident who tweets the picture as like, oh my gosh, terrible crash on a 290. It's kind of a good way to learn about breaking news like that, but beyond that, I've never really found much use out of Twitter. This past summer, I thought Twitter was kind of interesting or funny just in that like every day somebody was getting canceled or people were outraged about something. Aunt Jemima's canceled today, Uncle Ben's canceled the next day, the Land O'Lakes Butter Girl is canceled the next day. It was almost comical how every single day like everybody was outraged at some company, some person, somebody. And then really the past couple years, I think Trump is probably the best thing that ever happened to Twitter. And now that Trump's gone, I don't know how that's going to fare for Twitter. Here's another interesting thing. Twitter, whether they actually feel this way or believe this or are just kind of paying lip service is another thing. But Twitter is a platform that pretty much thrives on divisiveness and people arguing with one another. Yet Twitter publicly is like, oh, we want to be a more open and friendly platform. We don't want all this hate and divisiveness. And it's like, literally, that's what your platform thrives on. So you can't say that you want to get rid of that. And then also, at the same time, either allow it to go on or know that that's kind of what your business thrives on. I've just never really gotten Twitter, never really understood Twitter. Twitter has been hemorrhaging users for a number of years. I think they've kind of, Twitter, I think it's no secret where Twitter's politics lie. So Twitter has in many ways kind of alienated pretty much half of the country or half of their user base. which isn't good for them. And it also just, Twitter's just not that robust of a platform. If you look at, Facebook, and Facebook's kind of in a league of their own, a category of their own, but if you look at Facebook, Facebook allows you to log into other apps and websites using your Facebook credentials. It's a way to connect with friends and family. You got the Facebook marketplace for selling goods. You can create a Facebook store with your Shopify store to have it be a place to engage in e-commerce. It's got a robust ad platform that's very good at targeting people. You got Facebook messaging apps. You got Facebook payments. I mean, Facebook is an entire ecosystem. They have a lot of different ways to make money and a lot of different ways to keep people engaged. And Instagram, well, it's more of a simple platform. Instagram does kind of have the pictures and the videos. And Instagram has kind of in its own right become an influencer marketing platform. And Instagram at the end of the day is kind of a part of Facebook. Twitter, I mean, what does Twitter really have going for it besides being a place to blurt out short messages? I mean, you can't log into any other sites with Twitter. There's no classifieds apps. There's no payment system. I think Twitter would have been much better off years ago if they had somehow adopted cryptocurrency and found a way to allow people to tip one another. The Twitter founder and owner, Jack Dorsey, is obviously a big cryptocurrency advocate. He also owns the Square app, or the Square payment system. And within the past couple months, 6 months or so, Jack Dorsey put 1% of all Twitter's money, I think it was like $50 million or something like that, into Bitcoin. So Jack Dorsey is a supporter of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't make a play into crypto earlier, seeing as what Tesla recently did with dropping a bunch of their money into Bitcoin. I'm hearing rumors right now that Apple's talking about dropping like $5 billion into Bitcoin. Here's an interesting thing about about Tesla. I think I might have said Twitter instead of Tesla. Elon Musk put a bunch of Tesla's money into Twitter, and there was actually a tweet from like January 2nd where somebody who purported to be a developer for Tesla talked about being hired to design an app that would allow Tesla to buy Bitcoin. I'm guessing it would allow Tesla to buy Bitcoin on like all the little dips and things like that. But somebody reported that. Obviously, a lot of people talk nonsense, and a lot of people talk shit on the internet, so I don't know that everybody believed him. But anybody who saw that post and believed him and sunk money into Tesla obviously did pretty well with that investment. So this information was actually leaked about a month ahead of it actually happening. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jack Dorsey try to institute some type of like crypto wallet into Twitter, or to try to do something with like crypto tips or crypto payments, although at this point he's a little bit late to the game. Also, the cost of Bitcoin is so high that I don't think you're going to have people giving away Bitcoin, and transaction fees are so high on Bitcoin that it wouldn't really be worth it to be sending micro tips of $1, $2, $5, although maybe there's some way that Twitter can have kind of a master wallet or a parent wallet and just shuffle money around between people, and these transactions aren't actually happening on the network, or maybe they could somehow use the Lightning Network. Beyond that, I suppose you could use Nano or Dogecoin or some other cryptocurrency, although I don't know that people are going to be as excited about that as Bitcoin. But, maybe Twitter will somehow put Dogecoin tips on Twitter. Anyhow, let's get into this article. Twitter may monetize TweetDeck and institute a subscription service in a bid to ease reliance on ad money. This one comes to us from Android Police. Twitter is keen on reducing its dependence on advertisements as a primary source of revenue. In a bid to achieve that, the social media company is thinking of new income streams. According to a report by Bloomberg, one such avenue is a subscription service. Codenamed Rogue One, the subscription has already been spotted on the app code by a developer on Twitter. Bruce Falk, the company's head of revenue products, confirmed in a statement given to Bloomberg that the company may include in its plan of improving revenue mix. There's no word on what it will offer if it does, but an ad-free experience is the first thing we would expect. I really don't think Twitter is going to get rid of ads, though I think Twitter ads are ineffective and nobody's really using them, and it's not a great revenue stream. I don't think ads are going to send anybody off of the platform, and why would they cannibalize a revenue stream, or why would they get rid of a revenue stream even if they find additional revenue streams? Twitter is hurting as a company, so I don't think ads are going away. I think they're going to try to find other ways to monetize on top of that. And really, consumers are in a lot of ways kind of getting fucked these days. Like, even services that in the past it was typically if a service was free to you, the price was ads, right? Like, Facebook's free to use, but you're going to be advertised and data is going to be collected on you. Television is free to watch, or at least at one point it was. A regular TV is free to watch, but there's ads. But if you look at it, you pay a shitload of money for cable TV, but you still got ads for cable TV. I guess in the early days of cable TV, there weren't ads, and that was a big selling point, but eventually it got ads. I pay for Hulu, right? Like, I mean, it's cheap. What is Hulu? $5.99, $6.99 a month. But I still have to watch ads on Hulu. If I want to get rid of ads, I got to double the price and pay $12 or whatever for an ad-free experience. So I think people are used to paying for a service and then also being advertised to on top of paying for that service. So I really don't see Twitter getting rid of ads. Paid subscriptions aren't the only option, though. Another idea that's floating around is putting TweetDeck behind a paywall. If you're not aware, it is an alternative web client that shows multiple Twitter feeds at once. It hasn't been monetized yet, but it's also not as actively maintained. This may be changing, though, as Twitter's product lead recently tweeted that it was going through an exciting overhaul. Additional ideas include tipping or paying for an undo send and profile customization options. I'm not really sure what an undo send is. Is that you can pull a tweet back, which, I mean, really right now you can delete a tweet anyway, so I don't really understand how that would be a big benefit. And to me, it seems stupid to pay $5 to be able to get a special emojicon or whatever else on your Twitter profile. But then again, people pay in video games to get fake gold or to customize their guns, or even on YouTube. I think on YouTube it's more about supporting a creator than it is paying for a feature. But on YouTube, people do pay to join a channel to get icons next to their name in chat. So I don't think it's beyond people to pay for digital icons and emojis and things like that. It's best not to expect these changes to crop up anytime soon, though. Bruce added to his subscription statement that they do not expect any meaningful revenue to be attributable to these opportunities in 2021. And then the author of this article leaves off, if anyone from Twitter is reading this, cough, cough, editable tweets. I think editable tweets would be interesting. I think it kind of changes the conversation, because if you say something and then I reply to you and then you change your tweet, it kind of leaves me looking like kind of a dummy. Because people are like, what the hell is this guy replying to? That's not what the guy above tweeted. So in that sense, I think it's kind of nice that tweets aren't editable and that there's kind of a permanent record, kind of like blockchain. But at the same time, I definitely get it. If you tweet something out and then you realize like your point didn't come across right, or you had like a misspelling or something like that, you can't go back and edit it. That tweet is out there, and are you going to delete it and retweet it again, or what do you? So that's kind of one weird or kind of unique thing about Twitter. I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Dorsey kind of steps away from Twitter or takes a more hands-off approach. I mean, Twitter's been around since 2006. It seems like the product, Twitter as a social media platform, is kind of on a downswing. It's never really been profitable. It's never really been a great moneymaker. The concept of ads on Twitter has never really been a winning money-generating strategy. And Jack Dorsey's interested in cryptocurrency. He's the owner of Cash App and Square Payments, which I think are much more successful and much more profitable companies than Twitter. So why is he splitting his time and efforts between these two companies, one of which is on a downswing and isn't making any money? I don't think Twitter will be going away anytime soon. I mean, I think it's got an active user base who likes it, but the number of users are dropping. It's kind of a hateful, divisive place. Twitter kind of missed the boat when it comes to like data collection and kind of collecting information on people and selling that information or using that information to advertise. There's going to be a lot of new laws and rules coming down the pipeline, and Facebook and a lot of other social media platforms got a big head start on collecting that data and knowing about their user base, and it's a little bit late in the game for Twitter to try to start doing that now. Nor is Twitter really set up to necessarily be able to collect a lot of data on you. But I'm curious to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think about Twitter as a platform. Is it a platform that you use? Do you think it's a platform that's doing well or a platform that's on a downswing? And I really wouldn't be shocked if Jack Dorsey sold Twitter to put that money into other products, or at the very least, if he took a little bit of a less active approach with Twitter and focused on Cash App and Square. But yeah, let me know any thoughts that you guys have about this. Drop a comment down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button below, ring the bell. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, and we'll catch you on the next one.